I'm back with a part 2 on working for the car dealership that made me want to die. So part 1 is on my channel, card right over here, or maybe it's there, I don't really know, it's somewhere. Part 1 was supposed to be the story time on why I got fired and how I got fired, but it never ended up being that because I just gave too much of a backstory and started talking about Brittany for like 20 minutes because she was a but yeah, so I'm gonna actually do the story time this time. If you want to check out part 1, do so because you'll get a little bit more backstory on it. And just, yeah, keep on watching if you want to hear the story. So I worked for a car dealership that rhymes with Moyota, and the job was cool, but the people were not. The people were awful and bitter and miserable. They all acted like they wanted to die every single day. And this energy really was brought on to me. Like, I liked the job, I just felt miserable every time I walked in. A, because I had Brittany being an asshole to me for no reason, which was not cool. B, because everyone else was an asshole to me because they didn't want to do their jobs. And C, because my manager was an asshole to me because he was an asshole. He was one of those, like, I hope no one takes this the wrong way because I'm like super pro LGBT community, like I do not care, like love is love, you know, like I go to Pride, like I'm cool with it, you know? But like he was just one of those like snobby gay guys. You know, like those snobby gay guys? They're just like so much snobbier than the average guy. Like they're just, do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like just those snobby gay guys that are just so uptight and just mean. He was one of those and his name was George. Yes, his name was George. And he was so mean to me. Like I can't even remember how mean he was because it was an everyday occurrence. Like I can't even give you an example because he was so mean to me. Like as a manager, like as a boss, he like bullied me. It was to the point where I'd go home and like want to cry. Like I would literally have to go to the washroom and like cry to myself. Not like literally cry, but like compose myself because I was just so upset by the way he talked to me. He talked to me like I was stupid. Like he'd say like, he'd call me sweetheart, but in like a condescending way. He'd be like, do you understand, sweetheart? Do you get it? Or like if I messed up, he'd say like, oh, see, this is why I don't ask you to do things. Can you do this, Brittany? Like he would be so mean to me. Like he'd make me feel so stupid. And mind you, within like the first like 3 weeks of training, he was being an asshole to me, like expecting me to know everything. But working in a car dealership is very, very like difficult. Once you know it, you know it. But when you're learning it, it's overwhelming. And I worked at a copy center. Copy center is the hardest thing you can do. I'm telling you, it's like one of the hardest things you can do. And dealership was not as hard, but learning it is very intense. So me having the copy center knowledge and learning this was already helpful enough. So I was pretty much grasping it fast, but George expected me to know it like that. So he was mean to me, Brittany was mean to me, everybody was just rude to me. Every time I talked to someone, I felt like they were just judging me and just bitter and wanting to get out of the conversation. So I stopped socializing and I just started doing my own thing and I just did not care about anything because everybody was rude. So eventually I became very quiet, to the point where they probably think I had a problem because I was so quiet. Like I was so awkward and so quiet and so just like go in, do my job, get out. So eventually I could just tell that people around me were just not like, they were just like, they didn't care for me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's like the kind of thing where like nobody bothered to include me in conversations. Nobody bothered to talk to me. Like it was just very lonely. Working there was lonely. I didn't really care because to be honest, I only wanted to work there long enough so I could get a job at another dealership because I really like working reception at dealerships. I started to realize I want to quit, but this is the problem. This happened the same year that like I was just finding out that I wasn't getting accepted into any universities, which I should probably talk about because I feel like people can relate to that. And I was like going through a lot of stuff. The guy that I was talking to was like acting up and like I don't think he liked me anymore, and I was like really upset because I really liked him. And just bad things were happening. To be honest, I think this one girl put like a curse on me. I know that sounds crazy, but I was friends with a girl who did witchcraft, and like right after we stopped being friends, I got fired. Like I was not doing well at work. I didn't get accepted to schools. Like everything I just said, like bad things were happening. This was also around the same time that I started my YouTube channel. Same time. Anyways, I wanted to quit, but I couldn't go to my parents and tell them that I wanted to quit because I would just be a failure at that point. You know what I mean? Like they'd be like, why do you want to quit? You just got this job. Like, why can't you just go out of your way and socialize? Blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, I just didn't want to give up like that. I didn't want to tell them that I was quitting. So I stuck around and I hated every second of it. I would literally go home in tears, like miserable. Like I hated it, guys. I hated it. So me acting a certain way was like because I did not care about the job or anything to do with it. So I was literally just like in, out, whatever, right? So there's this one day, getting fired is not fun, guys. It's so embarrassing. So the way that Moyota was set up was like all the managers and people's offices were glass. So like you could see right through to their desk, you could see what's on their computer, like you could see everything, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like closed door type thing because it was all glass. So I get to work and it's like I started my shift at 4 o'clock. And I noticed that there's no work for me to do really. Like they just tell me to do one thing just to like, I guess, pass time. But whenever I was like, what is there to do? No, you're good. You don't have to do anything. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. And like everybody was looking at me weird. Like I just remember like everybody was interacting with me differently, right? Like they already didn't really talk to me, but they were being kind of nice to me today. And I was like, this is weird. Why are you being nice? So I got my iced green tea latte with coconut milk from Starbucks. So I'm sipping on that while I'm filling out the stocking in and out vehicle registry sheet. And all of a sudden the woman that hired me, the HR lady, she's in. And I'm like, what is Jen doing in, right? So Jen comes up. Yeah, fuck, that wasn't even her name. I forget her name, but let's just call her Jen. Jen comes up to me, she's like, hi. And I'm like, hey, how are you? She's like, good. Usually she's like, good, how are you? You know, like she was very friendly. So she's like, good. And then she walks away. So I'm like, okay. So I keep filling my stuff out. At this point, it's like 4:30, 4:25. She comes up to me with the manager, who's like this like tall ginger guy, very friendly, but so annoying. Do you want to know how he answered the phone? So let's say the place was called Glensdale Moyodash. He'd be like, hi there, Glensdale Moyodash. Steve speaking. How can I help you today? I'm not fucking joking. He talked like that all the time. Hey, how are you, buddy? Oh, you coming in today? Oh, that's awesome, buddy. Like, that's how he talked. It was so... I got so annoyed of him. Hey there, Ashley. How you doing today, huh? You doing good? Oh, he was so awful. I was so cringe. Anyways, so, what's his face? I forget his name. Did I say his name? Let's call him Bob. So Jen and Bob are there and Jen is like, do you mind if we talk to you in the office for a second? We just have something quick we want to talk to you about. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, okay. So I pick up my stuff. She's like, oh, you can leave the stuff there, don't worry. So they walk me to the office. I have to follow them back. I'm looking, like everybody's looking at me. So I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm getting fired. Like, I already knew I was getting fired. Like I literally was there like, I'm getting fired. Oh my God, yes. So we go to the office and she's like, you can have a seat. So I'm like, okay, cool. So they're both sitting there staring at me. So I'm like, I'm just sitting there. I feel so uncomfortable. So Jen's like, so based on the direction that the company is going in, we actually have decided to part ways with you. And we hope you know, succeed in everything you want to do in life. We really do wish the best for you, but unfortunately, with the direction that we're going in as a company, we don't feel that you really meet our needs anymore. So then I just sit there, I'm like, so I'm fired? And she's like, yeah, we have to let you go. So I'm like, okay. I literally was like, okay, cool. She's just like, do you have any questions for us? And I was like, okay, yeah, like going forward, you know, so that I can avoid this in my next job. Like, what is it exactly that, you know, made you decide to fire me? Because I want to improve on whatever that is. She's like, well, you know, actually, you know, we're just going in a different direction and we feel that you just don't follow the path that we're headed in. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. You just said that, so why? Like, what is it that, you know, I can change? Like, what is it that made you guys make this decision? Oh, well, to be honest, as a company, we feel like we're moving forward and, you know, you're headed in a different direction. I understand that, Jen. What is it that I could improve on? Like, what is it that you guys decided was the reason for me to be in this different direction? Oh, you know, as a company, we're just growing and evolving and we just feel like you don't meet our needs anymore. Okay, Jen. Okay. We good? I didn't say we good, but I'm just like, okay, so that's it? And then she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. She's like, so you can actually have this severance package. You're gonna be getting 2 weeks paid as well as today's shift paid and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So she's like, you can have this package. So I pick it up and I'm like, okay, thanks. And then I just put it back down and then I get up. I literally left it on the table. I did not care about it. I don't need to see what's in there. So then they follow me back to the desk. And I pick up the stuff. I'm like, oh, like I finished half of these. Like, what do you want me to do with them? And then she's just like, you can just leave them there. So then I just put them back on the table. So I'm like, all right, so I'm good to go? Good to go? And they're like, yeah, you're good to go. like, all right, cool. So I pick up my green tea latte, I pick up my purse. I'm like, yes, bitch, got the day off. Like, I don't have to go to work today. And like, I remember this day I was really dreading work, and I did not want to be there. So I was like, yes, I got the day off. So I literally, like, I don't even get out of the building. I'm literally, when I say not out of the building, I'm like, I walked away from the desk. I pick up my phone, I call my sister. I'm like, yo, Stephanie, guess what? And they're like still behind me. And she's like, what? I'm like, I got fired. She's like, what? I got fired. No way. What do you mean? Stephanie, I got fired. I'm gonna tell you when I come home. I'm gonna be on my way home right now. Do you want anything from Sam's? I'm gonna pass by. She's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll see you at home. I'm like, yeah, I got fired. And I start laughing. I'm like, I don't have to work today. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like excited and they can still hear me. And then I just hang up and then I go back home. I walk home. I'm humming. I'm just like, yes, I got the day off. I got the week off. I don't have to work there anymore. I was so happy. But do you want to know one thing that's funny, actually? I realized this way later that this might have been a reason why they may have fired me. A week before, I was supposed to work a shift from like 3 to 8 or something. And I was at school, and my manager at Staples had actually called me and been like, hey, like this person called the day off. Like, can you come in? So I was like, I'm working at Moyota, but like, sure. First of all, Staples paid me more. Second of all, I hated Moyota so much, I would literally take any reason and not to go in. So I was like, I'm just gonna call in sick. So I called my boss. I told him I had a rash. I couldn't come in. And when I was at Staples, I ended up working cash that day. And a guy that worked at Toyota that didn't like me actually came in to buy something, and I cashed him out. And he's like, you work here too? And I was like, yeah, I do. Because they're right across from each other. And he's like, no way, I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, I do. So then he's like, all right, good to see you. See you tomorrow? I'm like, yep, probably, yep. See you tomorrow. So I think he snitched. I don't really know. I think that was like their breaking point. Just kind of like, we can't rely on this girl. She's useless. So I think he snitched because he didn't like me. And yeah, I got fired. I totally got fired. And I told my parents that I quit. I ended up telling them that I quit because I just didn't want to deal with like, I got fired. Didn't get accepted into university. Like, I just didn't want to deal with all that. So I told my parents that I quit, which I shouldn't have, but I know it sounds worse than being fired, because I had a choice over quitting, but I just like, I couldn't disappoint them even more at that moment. Like, it was such a bad year. It was such a bad year, 2016. Yeah, so then I ended up just working at Staples and giving them more availability, and I never looked back. They told me I had to come back in to drop off the lanyard. Never did it. Still have it. Don't intend on going back. Are you dumb? You think I'm coming out of my way to come see you guys? Are you dumb? You want me to walk in after being fired? I have more self-respect than that. You got me all the way fucked up. You want your little lanyard? Come to my house, come pick it up. You think I'm walking in there after being fired? So Brittany can laugh in my face? Are you dumb? No. So then I still have the lanyard chilling in my room. They never asked me about it, no. So yeah, that's the story of how I got fired. To my parents, if you're watching this, I really hope my parents aren't watching this, because when I think about my parents watching my stuff, I really cringe. But I think about anyone I know watching my stuff, I cringe. But like, I'm very sorry that I lied. I didn't mean to lie. I just like, it was a bad year. It was a really bad year. And yeah, I got fired. It's not fun. Getting fired is embarrassing, guys. Like, I know I'm talking about it now. Like, I was very happy that I got fired. Don't get me wrong. Like, I was so happy. Like, I was laughing. But it was embarrassing, especially because the windows are glass. The walls are glass. Like, imagine getting fired with glass windows. Oh my God. Anyways, that's the story of how I got fired. I'm gonna go crawl in a hole now. Goodbye. Subscribe and like this video if you liked the video, and check out my social medias.